Calling all beings. Calling all beings.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Calling All Beings. I'm your host, DJ, and that young lady right there is...
Boston Bia.
Can somebody give me an amen for Boston Bia? Welcome, everybody. This is, you know what? This is, and Valhalla Law, the official attorney with avocados. Are Sarah? She knows that Bia loves avocados. It's a very special night. It's apropos that the official attorney of Calling All Beings, Valhalla Law, is here because we have another lawyer tonight. And this is a gentleman we've wanted on for quite some time. And luckily, our brother, Mike Crawford, right? Did I say that right?
Yes.
Maybe you should say it.
Mike Crawford.
Mike Crawford helped us to get in touch with this gentleman for the last Karen Reed fundraiser that we did. And then he agreed and took pity on us and decided that he would come on. So without further ado, you know what we say at Calling All Beings World. Party people, put those hands together for the retired JAG and attorney, Carl Steinbeck. Can somebody give me an amen for Steinbeck?
Okay. Hello.
Hello. Welcome to Calling All Beings.
How are y'all doing?
Man, we're doing great, man. I mean, we can't just introduce somebody around here, Carl. We have to really, really get into it.
You roll out the red carpet.
Or carpet, as they say, where beer comes from.
Yeah.
I got to speak with Carl the other day, and what a pleasure it was, because for those of you, you know, I mean, this gentleman is an esteemed attorney, but when you speak with him, he's going to speak with just like you're a regular dude. And that was kind of like my reflection, having gotten to speak with you. So that was an honor and pleasure to get a couple minutes on the phone with you, Carl.
Oh, thanks, DJ.
Yes, sir. And so if you would, I realize that our audience is well familiar with you, but if you would just kind of, you know, give them an overview of your career, and then we'll get in. We're going to get into the Richens case. Yes, this is what Smith must say. There you go. Yes, we agree. We concur. Kathy says similar. So, and then we'll get into Kouri Richins, and then we might even get a little bit of commentary on your favorite punching bag, George Bev, and mine. So if you would, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Let's see. I'm an Iowa native. I grew up there for the most part. Spent 1 year in California in high school, but then came back and had a desire to be a football player in college and go on to the pros. That's all I was obsessed with. I had no interest in lawyering or anything justice related, although I guess I always had a heart for justice in my bones and blood. But I blew out my knee going into my senior year of high school, so I pretty much was not able to play football well at all because my knee was still wobbly even after surgery. So I decided just to pursue academics. I did play one year in a small college. I was otherwise planning to go Division I, but my knee was still giving me problems. But in any event, I just thought I'd focus on academics. I went to transfer to University of Iowa, finished out there, and went straight to law school and at Drake. And there I graduated in 90, and then I went straight from there into the Army Judge Advocate General Corps, where I thought I'd just do 3 years and then punch out and become a civil litigator, do civil trials. But I had such a good time there that I thought, and I did criminal trials there. I wanted to be a prosecutor, at least have that under my belt, be a court-martial prosecutor, and also had a stint as a special assistant U.S. attorney there, helping prosecute crimes in U.S. District Court. And so anyway, I just one thing led to another, and I wound up just trying to stick it out longer. And I wound up getting out in when I was at 96 off active duty, and I wound up going to private practice and also went up to Iowa again, helped take care of my grandma, and I was up there for about 6 years, and then I went back into the reserves, and then 9/11 happened, and I got put on active duty, and I was on active duty for until from that time. When was it? 2003 till 2020, and so I got almost 30 years in over that time, and I had a phenomenal career doing a lot of different stuff. And unlike the prosecutor in the case we have with Kouri Richins, Brad, I forget his name, Bloodworth, and he's also an Army JAG, although he's like, I think about 13 years behind me, so we never had any interaction whatsoever. But he's also a West Pointer, and I think the Army paid for him to go to law school, so he's got way more like officer time as opposed to JAG time. And so anyway, he's a engineer also, so he's very meticulous and whatnot. So I just found it interesting to follow that case, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But anyway, my career then, I retired in 2020, spent over 2 years working as a assistant general counsel for a federal agency, and I did federal contracts there. So I spent my last 5 years of federal service doing federal contracts, and had a lot of good time and experiences doing that kind of stuff. And then my brother got me hooked into true crime, following a case out of Florida, and one thing led to another. And then I started covering the Karen Reed case. Then Mike Crawford, Young Jerks channel, got me on there, and that's how you guys knew me from there. So anyway, my long and short of it is, I really like to fight for what's right, to do justice. And I think that there's a lot, I've always said, people in America have, and for the world for that matter, have no idea how political the criminal law arena is. And so I think people are getting to see that, especially in the Karen Reed type situation. So covering the Kouri Richins case now, but anyway, and I'm trying to cover cases that really are not just the run-of-the-mill type of criminal case, but something where we have something really unique or strange or extreme, or just just a trampling of people's rights, that I want to speak out about that. So I'm more like a justice advocate, because one case I'll be, for the victims, the other one I'll be for the defendant, So I just call it like it is. I feel like I have a lot of jury trial experience, and have a lot of common sense and understanding of how juries interact to evidence. And so I've held myself out as a consultant as well for jury trial practitioners. So anyway, that's about it in a nutshell.
If I were to ask you to just put in a couple sentences, your experience practicing military law versus your experience practicing criminal law.
Well, you know what? I would say what the military side of the house is, it's more formal than state courts. It's more similar to federal courts, but the rules of evidence is all the same, right? So it's not like I can go to any court in America and I could like just plug and play right in there, because it's not much difference. The military type system, it's much more, you got to be way more squared away than when you would in a civilian court, because if you're not looking the part and acting the part as a prosecutor, defense counsel, military, they might not listen to you at all, So you gotta look the part, you gotta act the part, you gotta have your uniform has to be impeccable, and you can't get away with a lot of stuff that I see you can get away with in state courts. So I think it's a good training ground to start out there, because everything else is, it's sort of like my legal framework is from doing court martials. So, and there you have, everybody on the jury has a bachelor's degree. Everybody works in the same community. And so it can be very political as well. So I learned how to deal with the politics of the jury and all that kind of stuff. Civilian courts, it's easier because you don't have the jury that's politicized like you do in the military, right? Plus in the military, you only need 2/3 vote to convict. You don't have 12. Normally you never have 12 jurors. And you don't have to get unanimous vote as a prosecutor. So it can be easier in that sense as a prosecutor in the military, and harder as a defense counsel. But I've switched between prosecutor and defense counsel multiple times in the military. So I feel it gave me a lot of balanced experience. I'm not just like a prosecutor the whole time or defense attorney the whole time. So I don't feel like I'm jaded to any particular side. It's just straight down the middle. What is justice?
I love that. That's the way it's supposed to be. Straight down the middle is going to get to when we talk about Judge Bev later on. And I was going to say, you were talking about jury bias. I'm going to bring this up. He's going to summarize the Kouri Richins case for us here in a second, but this made me think of what you're saying. I'm not going to name any names here, but essentially this case, while you were active, I believe, was a Delta Force soldier who had allegedly raped a officer from like the 82nd Airborne, because both of them were stationed at Fort Bragg. And there was a lot of strings pulled. There was a lot of kind of influence, and she felt like she did not get a fair shake, and he was basically found innocent of it. And I felt like, at least by her description, not having been there, the way they pressured the police and so forth, it felt like that there was some politicization of the jury in that one. Does that sound like that would ring a bell?
Oh, there's a lot of that I've encountered. I never let that happen as a prosecutor myself when I was a military prosecutor. But the thing is, in the military, you have a complete chain of command that can decide the outcome of a criminal case. You don't have just a prosecutor. You know, like in civilian court, pretty much, unless it's maybe like a death penalty case or first-degree murder case, prosecutors have full discretion. Maybe they have one supervisor above them if they're a lower level or medium level prosecutor to have to get maybe some concurrence on. But in the military, you got to get, it's not the prosecutors that own it, except for now, some of that's changed with Congress now with sexual assault type crimes. Those are now, they peeled those away from the commanders having discretion. And so, because they're trying to like neutralize the politics, but you still have a whole chain of command that may not have experience, and they maybe are wanting to, do the politically right thing rather than the justice right thing on the outcome of cases. So there's still a need for zealous defense, and so anyway, it's you can get a bad. I've always said you can get a bad judge, a bad prosecutor, a bad defense attorney, or a bad jury. Any one combination of those, and you can get bad witness, and somebody's falsely accusing you,
right?
And an innocent person can be convicted.
It takes a lot of things coming to come for the person to be found, for justice to be served, right?
Right. So you look at any particular case, and I can see, if you don't, it's really gives a black eye to the American justice system if you have a lack of justice being pursued at any one of those levels, right? Now, defense attorneys, they're supposed to, you think they're going to always fight for their client, but I mean, I've been around defense attorneys, they fall asleep during trial and stuff like that. So yeah, so it's like, you don't want to see that. And just like, in any particular case where I say that they're guilty, I still want their defense attorneys to do good. I don't think it looks bad if the defense attorneys are doing a terrible job for their client, and then it's like that can lead to somebody going down when otherwise they shouldn't. So I'm a strong believer that if somebody's guilty and you get a good prosecutor and you get a fair judge, justice will happen and they will be convicted, right? So unless the prosecutor's not experienced, they don't know what they're doing, or what they do a lot of times is they do shady stuff. Every single time I've been a defense attorney going to trial, the prosecutor hides something, and I call them out on it, and I do that in front of the jury and say that, they cannot answer X, Y, and Z in our closing statements, and I dare them to even talk about it. And you know what? Every single time I've done that, they've never brought it up. So it's like, who's hiding the ball here, folks? And so anyway, it's one of these deals where wherever you go, you're going to find human frailties, human errors, and agendas. I have a saying that when I get on a case, everybody has an agenda. My job as an attorney is to figure out what it is and to see if it aligns with my theory of the case or if it goes against it, and to either align it with mine or to repel it and expose it if it's different.
Yeah, I mean, I love the way you your whole attitude towards this is sort of nonpartisan, and if there's one thing that America needs is less partisanship. So this is great in every arena. Bia, do you have any initial questions before the summary, or do you have anything?
So you mentioned The Karen Reed case brought you kind of into true crime. So what exactly, let's see. DJ, can you take care of that in the chat?
Yeah.
Thank you. What exactly about the Karen Reed case made you, take an interest in the case?
Well, it's actually the second case. I've been following for a couple years the case out of Florida, the murder of Professor Dan Markel, who was an FSU law professor. And so that one, when it was having some time awaiting for a subsequent trial of one of the co-accused, co-defendants, I'd heard about this Karen Reed situation, and I just thought I came in there with an open mind. I'm like, I didn't come out. I don't ever jump in as a preconceived idea. It's like, oh, I think she's guilty. And I just took it. When I started covering the case, for example, my initial position was, I don't know if she's guilty or not. All I know is they don't have enough to prove anything about murder. Okay. And that created some people to shoot flames at me saying, oh, this guy's jacked up. He's hurting victims and stuff like that. There's a few naysayers out there, but I'm just calling it like it is. I don't have any preconceived agenda. And so I just think that I'm just going to follow the evidence and what I know it to be. And I'm not going to, I don't answer to anybody else other than my own experience and judgment and sense of justice. So, and I've been, I think as an advocate, I call out stuff that's unjust. Like somebody just asked, is Wendy ever going to be arrested? She will be arrested at some point. The prosecutor's sitting on his hands down there in Florida. He's not doing his job properly. There is enough evidence to convict. And so something will force his hand. Somebody will want to come forward, or there'll be some new evidence. So I just believe that eventually, even prosecutors that don't do their job, something's going to force their hand. And so it's just allowing more time for a party to escape justice. But in the end, it's gonna. I strongly believe it's going to come back and be rendered for the victims. The victims are still waiting for justice in that case. They say justice is not done till the main mastermind of the Florida case is prosecuted. So, but no, to answer your question, the case about Karen Reed, I just thought made opinion that there's no way they should retry this for murder. We heard that the jurors, none of them thought it was a murder case. And so for a prosecutor to go after murder a second time, knowing that it was unanimous vote that there wasn't any proof of murder, is really an abuse of discretion. And it's a form of corruption, if you will. And so I would say for first couple months I followed the case, I still had the position that I'm not saying she's innocent. I'm just saying you don't have enough to go forward on this. And there's so much politics in it that you're not gonna have a fair trial with her. And then when I saw the judge in her rulings, then I realized it's like, this is really, really a corrupt system up there. That's really, really scary to see that that's going on in America. It's more like some kind of third world type of justice.
Yeah. Yeah, that was that's like a whole thing in itself. So maybe what we'll do at the end, so much love for Carl here. I think at the end we'll try to get to Judge Bev, because I found her behavior the most disturbing. But if you would, could we could you summarize the Kouri Richins case, and then we'll start asking questions from there, starting with our resident expert, Boston Beer.
Okay.
Wait,
all right. For the Kouri Richins case,
yes.
you have a woman who is approximately 35 years now. Her husband is a few years older than her. This is somebody that had a stone masonry business, and this is in Park City, Utah. He ran into her she worked at Home Depot. He ran into her. They started dating. They wound up getting married, having 3 boys. And his business continued to flourish, and he had a partner in that business, and it was called C&E, the first name initial for each of the 2 co-founders. And it was a thriving stone business, and there's a lot of wealth in that area out there. So, they're doing probably like a lot of $100,000+ stone masonry jobs on a lot of luxury homes out there. So in any event, the thing is the relationship between Kouri, the wife, and Eric, the husband, was seemed to be a lot under strain. And in her own writing, she said that she thought that she could be happy by having another child, and each time she had another child, that the happiness wasn't there, the fulfillment wasn't there in the marriage. And so, lo and behold, she sort of ran her own house flipping business, and she tried to market herself as a phenomenal house flipper, making all kinds of money. And she even represented herself in her bio saying, I have 147 employees doing my house flipping business, which wasn't true at all. She had just subcontractors, and it was pretty much herself out of her own business. She also had her own real estate company. So she'd basically buy a house, hire some guys to flip it, then she'd turn around and sell it for as quick as she could and as cheap as she could. And I've done a lot of remodels in my lifetime. Not so much me doing the work, but me subbing it all out and me sort of being the GC, but general contractor, that is.
Mhm.
And it's tough business to get into, and you can easily be ripped off. And so I would say that she had an uphill climb there, and she wound up needing more money because she wasn't able to do a good job at it. And so she'd sell a house, but it's always like stealing from Peter to pay Paul kind of thing. And so she wasn't able to keep it afloat. And what she wound up doing behind her husband's back was he was very much, he came from a family with money. So when he married her, there was like a prenup that she would not get anything if they ever divorced kind of thing. And she did not own the house. He exclusively owned the house. He bought that before they married, a year before they married in 2013. And they married around 2014. And so he already owned the house in his own name exclusively. He had a trust set up. So he was very much protected and leery about, something coming in to take that away from him and his boys. But what happened was Kouri was getting this idea to flip this mansion on a swamp, as I call it. And this mansion it's basically a 20,000 square foot home. It was only in a partially completed state. It was all basically just studs. There's no electrical, there's no plumbing, there's no drywall. It had shingles. There was no siding on the house, and it was on 10 acres. It had a guest house that's around 4,000 square feet. And she wanted to buy it for like 2.4 million, and she didn't have the money to do it, and her husband wouldn't support her doing it. So, she set up all this life insurance and created these life insurance policies to help her. And then on the Valentine's Day of 2022, she got some food for her husband, and he basically blacked out from taking it. It was just some kind of a bagel sandwich or a omelet, something like that, from a restaurant that's one of his favorites. And so anyway, he was making comments to him, I think my wife's trying to poison me. And then lo and behold, on the third, between the evening of the 3rd of March and the early morning of the 4th of March, he was found dead. According to her, he was found dead and in the bedroom. Her story's changed on where he was at. One time she says he's in the bed. The other time she says he's on the floor. She says she also last saw him when he was talking to folks going on a hunting trip to Mexico. And then the other thing she said was, he was just going to bed kind of thing. So there's some discrepancies in her story there. But there's also been testimony about how she looked for drug dealers to get her something that could poison him. She didn't say what the purpose was, other than the fact that she was loading up Oxycontin, oxycodone. And the first time, supposedly it was in the sandwich. She's charged with attempted murder for that Valentine's Day episode where they're saying that she poisoned him. And then the real thing happened then on 3rd and 4th when she gave him fentanyl. They found fentanyl in his system, and he's never known to be a drug user. She's also conflicted her stories on that. On other times, she'll say, he was a drug user and he tried to do this behind his her back. And then other times she says, no, he would never do drugs. He's not the kind of person to use drugs. Yeah, she also had an affair with somebody that was basically a guy that was homeless that she had met and flipped a house when she lived in California many years earlier. So he came out there sort of living in the house with the dog that he had. And anyway, she had, I believe she pursued him to try to entice him to maybe be the hitman kind of thing, but it didn't really pan out. He wasn't that kind of a guy. He's a prior service guy, served in Iraq, probably has some PTSD. He's testified in the trial, and you can tell he's got something's off about him, but he seems to be otherwise straight shooter on the testimony end of things. But in any event, this case is still going on. The prosecution's still proving up evidence, and she is. I mean, I've been on my channel. I've been covering how it's like it's an overwhelming case of evidence showing that she was motivated to get him out of the way. They both talked about divorce a year plus before this thing happened, and her whole business was imploding. We had a forensic accountant testify that basically the business was imploding and it was crashing. And yet, while that's happening, she's able to buy a $2.4 million house that would have cost many millions to fix up. In addition to that, I mean, it's such a reckless thing because it was on a swamp. You needed Corps of Engineer, all kinds of remediation to do. And so it's just something that anybody that had any common sense would not buy it unless you had millions of dollars to throw away and you just absolutely love this house. But this was like her baby. She wanted to be, she used to express herself as wanting to be known in town as somebody rich, famous, successful, and that kind of thing. And, you know, if you divorce, a lot of that's going to go away and her financial stuff would have been exposed. So the perfect and only outcome to save face was to kill her husband, get the life insurance proceeds, which she got like $1.2 to $1.4 million from that. So she was able to keep her afloat for a while. But in the end, 14 months after the murder happened, she got charged with murder, attempted murder, as well as some life insurance scams she ran as well, and forgery because she applied for insurance, acting like it's her husband. So anyway, she was very resourceful in trying to come up with money, including her best friend. Her best friend she scammed out of her life savings as a mother of 4 young kids, and scammed her out of $45,000 for a supposed down payment on a house that she then gave her some bogus warranty deed. So her best friend thought she bought a house, and turned out to be just another scam. So I say she's sort of like a little mini Bernie Madoff, where she's just like running all these little scams, trying to keep everything afloat, and then the whole thing comes crashing down on her. And so, in any event, we have a couple more weeks of trial to go, but it's very, very interesting and also sad to see that that even her own friends are being duped, and even the boyfriend was being played to I believe very much like a Jeff Lacasse type situation in the Florida case, where he was basically strung along to either be the hitman or be used to help flip this house. And so it's sort of like sad to see somebody that doesn't really care about anybody, including her own children, to be able to do something like this. So that's one thing that also strikes me is the crimes that happen that have children as victims. I just can't comprehend it, and it's really disturbing on so many levels. And so I think that there's, like I say, overwhelming evidence that's going to lead to her conviction. And so I'm doing commentary almost on a nightly basis for that. So anyway, that's it in a nutshell, guys. So
I just want to say, just let people know before we turn it over to the legendary Boston Bia, I have Carl's YouTube pinned to the top of the chat. So please go and subscribe to Carl's YouTube, and you will see coverage on Kouri Richins. So what we're going to do, I see you guys in the chat. You have questions. Boston Bia's taking the floor, and then before I ask questions, I'm going to get to yours. So please go ahead, Boston Bia.
All right. So we're in about day 9 of the trial. So what do you think the state has proven their case so far?
Yes, I think every day it's more and more a solidification that they got the proof of the murder. I think the motive was there. I think she was so much trying to maintain her lifestyle. And because of the prenup and because of the trust, I think she realized that she wanted to divorce. She was worried about him divorcing her, and then her standing in the community is going to go down. So what a better way to get money, keep your standing, look like a victim of, being a widow. And so it's very ruthless the way she did a lot of things, and it's all being exposed in court. And like I say, I think every day the jury has another shock. I was like, wow, she's really, really that bad. I think the jury probably looked at, well, she's a younger woman. She's mother of 3. She can't be that bad. to do this to her husband. But then you look at what she's done to so many other people, and just basically used people and people that really had her best interests at heart, that she just basically took advantage of them. And so it's a really good if you compare this trial also to what you saw with Karen Reed, this judge is impeccable.
Yes.
Very, very much a straight shooter. He's very much a mentor to the attorneys. He doesn't ever show any kind of anger or anything that is trying to belittle or demean the attorneys or any of the parties or witnesses. So it's just really a class act to see, and it's just one of the things that I just compare it to what was happening to Karen Reed, and it's like night and day difference. And so it's refreshing to see that, because I frankly would get very it would make my blood boil to see what's going on up in Massachusetts there when they're in the Karen Reed case. Nobody deserves it. I don't care how guilty you are. What I've said, like I said to you offline, it's like if somebody's really guilty and you're halfway decent a prosecutor, you don't have to resort to all these antics and corrupt little games like they did in the Karen Reed trials. So anyway, I'm glad they're pursuing it civilly as well up there to go after some of these folks.
Yes.
So they deserve that.
Yep. And as far as the most damning witness and evidence, what do you think it has been so far?
Oh boy. I think that probably her looking to get drugs. That's Lynch, because their defense is going to be, well, he just took on his own. We didn't know anything about it. So no, her and the seeking out drugs. And then when he didn't die after the first round, she asked for something more potent, words to that effect. And so guess what?
She said the Michael Jackson stuff, right?
Yeah. She mentioned that as well. She wanted something that could kill somebody, basically. So, and she made numerous comments that, her life would be better if he was dead versus having to go through a divorce. So there's just all these little things. It's like a web of all these lies and deceits and scams and things that she slipped up on. So it's I think the jury, every day they realize, yeah, this is looking like a slam dunk win. I haven't seen enough of the insurance type stuff yet, and I'm not really tracking that as closely as the murder type stuff. But I think that definitely on the murder stuff, and I'm not even worried about the attempted murder. If she goes on the murder charge, I mean, all that other stuff is just more like misdemeanor stuff in comparison.
Right. And then why don't you tell everybody that what she did after he passed away in regards to the children's book she wrote? Another way to make money.
Yeah, that was very interesting. So she wrote, which looks to be, I don't know if she actually wrote it or hired somebody else to do it, but she wrote a grief book for little kids on what to do if they lose a parent. And, it was very much, like I say, the graphics were very, very well done, and the storyline was very good. It's like, hey, Dad, he's not here with us now, but he's looking over us in heaven, so you're never alone from your father. So it's a way to make money. It's a way to look good. She promoted it on like local news stations, and this is before she got arrested, of course. And then she winds up getting arrested, and you got to think like, wow, it's like she wrote a book to help her kids, and yet she's now charged with the one that murdered their father, and it's just mind-boggling. But there seems to be a lot of similarities at the same time with what we have in the Adelson murder case down there in Florida, which is not ever gotten the traction I thought it should have nationally.
I know, and the feds took 11 years to get Donna. So there is hope here in Massachusetts for our feds too.
Yeah, I hope so. So I hope they do some cleaning up there,
Seriously. So you do also believe that the Valentine's Day was basically a trial run or an attempted?
Yeah, I would like to see more details on that, but I do think that, definitely what he was talking about and him getting sick from a place that normally ate. And the thing I like about this prosecutor, he even brought the restaurant owner to talk about the order. They had the receipt of the order. And you can tell this guy is not slipping something in the food. You know, he's a respectable gentleman, had this business for years, and it was like a favorite place for Eric, the victim, to go to. So, and of course, she mixed the drink that they had to celebrate her being able to close on this mansion the following day that he died. So, I think he put his foot down. We haven't really heard enough on that, but I think he's saying, I'm not going to help you buy this house. And he knew about construction, right? So he's thinking, like, buy a house on a swamp, and you got all this Corps of Engineers stuff to deal with. They'll cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it'll take years. And the thing is, she had all these lenders out there to get this money, and they had a 6-month balloon note, right? So you had to do all this work and all this kind of stuff before 6 months is up. Otherwise, you lose the house. So it was going to be foreclosed on her regardless, even if he agreed to funnel a lot of money there, because it's just there was just too much money, and it was just nothing but a nightmare. But she had this dream of this being like something that's going to make her, I guess, famous. I heard also, I've not heard the details. Maybe you have, Bia, but she wanted to be like one of these house flipping TV celebrities.
Yes. Yeah.
And so this house is going to be her, claim to fame kind of thing, and would surely secure her some kind of a TV channel coverage down the road. So anyway, it all blew up in her face. Look where she's at now, and she doesn't have any emotions really for the most part during the trial at all, and so she looks very cold and calculating. And so,
what do you think about her famous line that she made? She took $250,000 and turned it into $1 million. She seems to be very, very proud of that fact.
Yeah. Well, 11 million is what she's saying. So she said, I didn't really steal it from my husband because I turned around and made 11 million out of it. $11 million worth of property. Well, that $11 million I think is also a lie, because all that stuff has liens all on it from banks. They have security interests on all that, and all these hard loan money businesses that are like loan sharks that charge exorbitant interest rate. Like, do you know what the loan processing fee for this $2.4 million house she bought was? It was like $134,000.
Wow.
Who would you pay that kind of money for a loan servicing fee? So
not me.
I mean, it's just unbelievable that she thought this would be something that she could flip and have it turn out well. So,
and can you also mention, so before Eric died, he had also put everything in a trust. Aside from he had put everything in a trust and made his sister the executor of the trust,
right?
Which kind of left her without. But it doesn't appear that she knew that the house was not hers, right? So he kind of did this behind her back. Do you agree with that? Well,
I'm not so sure about that, because he owned the house before they even married. So I think she knew about. I think she knew about a lot of that. How much, I'm not totally sure yet from the evidence, but because there is some indicators. Oh, she was surprised when she found out how little she was going to get. But all this, keep in mind, all this was protected in the event that there was a divorce. In the event that he got murdered, then you get like access to most everything, right? The problem is, if you're a suspect of a murder, she got the life insurance. But what Eric's family is like, oh, no, we're not going to, we think you did it. We want to see what the autopsy, we want to see what the police report comes back before we start, giving you all access to this money. And like you're saying, his sister was the trustee of the trust. So anyway, they hired their own investigator. They had the money to do that. And, they did what a loving family that has money should do, which is like get to the bottom of it. Right. So that's what they did. And the defense is trying to say that the prosecutor's just relying on the family's influence to prosecute Kouri Richins, that really the evidence isn't there kind of thing. But no, the evidence is definitely there from what I've seen in these 9 days of trial. So.
All right, DJ, do you want to take any questions from the audience?
Yes. Boston Bia has turned it over to you, the audience. We're going to get some of your questions in. I think Bia just asked one of yours that you just had, but let's go with this. I want to start with I really find this one interesting by shock and horror. And then we're going to, Carl, I'm curious to know, how would you defend this case if you were working on it? My apologies if you've discussed this already. You hadn't. So how would you defend Miss Richens?
Well, I think that I think she's got, let me first start off by saying she's got qualified counsel in the sense that they got over 60 years of criminal defense experience for two main attorneys, plus she's got a third one, Alex Ramos. And these attorneys are former federal public defenders. Okay. So they've been doing federal cases. They've done a lot of heavy cases where people are facing many, many years of confinement, life sentences, that kind of stuff. So do they have experience handling cases? Yes. When I look at a case like this, I think that why couldn't they work out some kind of plea agreement? You know, why don't they have more client control? I'm a kind of guy that's like, I'm going to tell my client the real ground truth. Money is never going to compromise things. So these two attorneys, they left the federal public defender's office and they started their own firm a few years ago. And so, you know, they've already gotten $1.1 million in fees for representing her. And so it's going to be more than that when it's all said and done, of course. But I just, you know, I don't know how much they try to talk her into like cutting a deal of some sorts. But when you have somebody that's very much trying to control things, they don't want to admit to any wrongdoing, especially a murder, right? And I think it's really hard to get a parent of children, young children especially, to admit that they murdered the children's father. So I think they probably had maybe a really uphill battle. But to me, it's like I guess maybe because I'm more senior in my time, I don't want to waste a trial on something like this where somebody's guilty and stuff like that. I'd try to work a plea agreement. And if it didn't work out, if I had to defend something like this, I'd probably do, you know, it's more like reasonable doubt kind of stuff you try to argue, but you can't poke holes in. There's too much evidence that's against her. And so I don't think there's anybody that could be able to effectively defend her and get any kind of acquittal on this.
So you'd be working a plea agreement,
I'd be working a plea agreement. I mean, because in the end, if I could get her like, you know, something like 25 to life rather than life without parole, I'd be taking it from the standpoint. I'd be taking the standpoint. What's your number one goal in life? To see your kids, right? To see your kids more than having a flip business and all this kind of. You want to see your kids and your family. I think that would be most important. So what's the soonest way you can possibly get out of this, right? Is to, because if you're going down, and I know there's different options of what she's facing: life without parole, 25 to life, because it's an aggravated murder, which is equivalent to first degree murder in other states. So I would, if I could cut a deal 25 to life and the victim family supported that, I would say that would be the best thing an attorney could do for her. But that's something that the defendant has a choice of. If they don't want to plead guilty, they want to go to trial. And so I just think a lot of attorneys are afraid to take on reality and truth to their clients. And so I would be, I don't know. I just think that a lot of cases I see, I think they'd have a different outcome. And I don't know. I guess I like to believe I can talk a client into doing the right thing, you know, but
let me bring up John Kiriakou, because you and I talked about John Kiriakou on the phone a little bit, this CIA whistleblower, and he was looking at 2 years, you know, basically 23, 24 months, something like that. And the day when he wanted to go to trial 100%, and his lawyers, they got together somewhere in DC and they said, John, I'm going to tell you, I don't say this to clients. You 100% got to take this deal. You're going to do some time, and this is the absolute best deal you're going to get. And if you go to trial, you could be looking at, as you said, something like 25 years for whatever for the whistleblower, whatever he was accused of. I don't have the charge in front of me, but John, his lawyer said, absolutely take this deal. You be out of your mind to go to trial and risk this. And he did. So I agree with what you're saying. I mean, it seems like it makes sense to us laypersons. Kathy says, Carl, what is the case? Which case has had the most injustice that you've ever seen?
Let's see. I would say that I've seen all time my own cases or public. I don't know what context they mean, but I would say probably publicly the most visible one where I thought it was just such a extreme case of injustice was the Karen Reed case. So that's I've hiring a defense attorney that's going to go after her like that and just made a mockery of the whole system by the way he mocked and ridiculed different witnesses. And then you had the judge siding with the prosecution, having some kind of code with the prosecution on stuff, and the way the expert witnesses, the ARCA witnesses were treated. It was just like, I mean, you can't, I've never seen anything like that. I mean, it's like, and this thing is televised to the world to see. That's what makes it even more bizarre. If this was going on in regular courtroom, small town America, okay, where nobody's going to see what's going on, nobody's commenting on it, unless you happen to be in the courtroom watching, you're not going to see it. But for this to be televised and covered on national news, I just, I would say that's the worst one I've ever seen.
So, and that's interesting. So the case that is most close to the most people's heart that is in our chat, the reason that why Boston B is sitting here right now is because of Karen Reed. And that's the one. And we're going to get to this at the end because we're going to talk about this, and I'm going to ask Carl to go all the way back to the Nagel's supposed renting of her Cape Cottage, but we're not there yet. So we have a couple of more questions that want to get to. This one right here. Do you think she'll slip up when she's on the stand, Carl?
You're talking about Kouri Richins, I assume.
Yes.
So
yes. Thank you, Sharon, for this question.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if she's going to take the stand or not. I think her attorneys will tell her, don't take the stand, make this more of a reasonable doubt kind of case, because there's just too many things she's lied about and done about it. No attorney would tell her, oh, yeah, get on the stand, unless they don't want to be accused of and blame for losing the case. So they, oh, yeah, go ahead and go ahead and testify. If you want to testify, go ahead. We're not going to try to talk you out of it. Be prepared that, I'm sure they're going to tell her that you're going to be cross-examined on this, that, and the other, and you can do a mock cross-examination. And so, but I'd be surprised if she testifies, but you never know. Sometimes defendants, they think that they've been able to win at life and everything's worked out grand and glorious for them by being able to lie. And so they think, these 12 jurors, they're going to love me. Of course they're going to listen to what I say. If I say I'm innocent, they're going to believe me.
Jen McCabe types. I got it. Okay. Yeah, it's true.
And she's been a manipulator all along, so she probably thinks, oh, I can get them to like me. I'll just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? Is she manipulating her own lawyers and stuff like that and stuff and whatnot? So who knows?
Rose, one of our members, thank you for being a member, Rose. I really do appreciate that. This isn't a capital case, is it? Sorry, I'm not following it closely.
No, it's not.
It is not. And can you, for us laypersons out here, what makes it a capital case or not a capital murder case?
Well, I think that if they have an aggravated murder like they have here, where it's premeditated, I think it's just prosecutor discretion. So Utah, I understand, does have death penalty, but maybe because she's a mother of 3 kids, they didn't want to do it that way. So totally prosecutor discretion, and she didn't have a criminal record. So that's why I think they decided not to go after the death penalty.
Okay. And Bia, I believe you already asked this question, the most damaging evidence, right? Okay.
I did.
And that is the drug. Is it the purchase of the drugs?
I think the purchase of drugs, but just trying to single one thing out. It's like all these different puzzle pieces fit together. And so saying which is the biggest piece of the puzzle, it doesn't, they all interlink. And so I think that even some little nuggets can make the whole puzzle come to light, and you see it for what it is. So yeah, it's definitely a very, very strong case for the prosecution. I have no doubt she'll get convicted.
And
of murder.
to follow up on that, so do you think the housekeeper or the person who she got the drugs from was more credible or damning?
I think the Carmen Carmen Lauber, that actually was her housekeeper or house cleaner for her supposed flip houses. I think she was more credible, and she actually came forward. After she found out about the death, she came forward to law enforcement and said, "Hey, I think that maybe it was the batch I sold to her." So, but keep in mind, people that are in the drug world and constantly using drugs, they do have character problems. They do have credibility problems. They have relapses and stuff like that. So, but I think that her and also the original story of the person she bought the drugs off of, I think those two things coincide enough. And the bottom line is, if you're trying to buy illegal drugs and you're trying to get something that is like the Michael Jackson drug, it doesn't matter what it is that kills somebody, whether it's fentanyl or propofol or whatever it is you want to get. You were looking for something really dangerous and likely to cause death. And so you can't sit there and say, well, that I didn't think it was going to be that much propofol, or I didn't think it was going to be that much fentanyl to kill somebody. You pretty much, it looks like she had the motive to kill him. This wasn't like, hey, honey, let's get high off of fentanyl or whatever it does to you, and let's celebrate this mansion on the swamp purchase. So I just don't believe it that he would use these kind of drugs. I think the evidence shows he's too stable and reliable of a person. And so he was taking gummies, he was taking THC gummies, but you're talking about a whole different kind of lifestyle of using illegal drugs than taking fentanyl.
Yeah, I mean, and let's face it, there's some pretty nice drug dealers out there. I'm just kidding, everybody. All right. We had to get one of those in there. I'm just kidding. Actually, it sounds like the Natalie Cochran case. But she used insulin to get her, that West Virginia case where she killed her husband with insulin. She was running a Ponzi scheme based on government contracts that weren't, and ran up, a few $1 million in her Ponzi scheme. And then when her husband kind of started asking questions, she got rid of him. So that one was, the sentencing for that one, hearing the kids defend her, was horrible. Terrible. Let me see what else we got here. I wanted to thank Donnie Not Wahlberg for gifting 5 cab memberships. Can I get an amen? Let me see if we get the little explosion to go off. There we go. Yes. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And people are wanting to know, is there any scuttlebutt, any movement on Adelson? And I don't know if they're talking about Wendy or is it?
Could be Wendy.
Okay.
Wendy and her dad, most likely Wendy. But no, there's no other movement that I'm aware of. But like I say, I think something's my prediction is if they don't have the motivation to go after her now, something's going to happen. Her brother's in prison for the murder. Her mom is. I think the brother, once mom dies in prison, I think then he's going to come forward, and after his appeals are exhausted, he's going to get wise and think, what's the best way I have a chance of getting out is cut a deal. Because he's got a son he wants to see that's maybe 5 or 6 years old now. And so, cutting a deal is a guarantee. There's no guarantee when you roll the dice. I do think there's a chance that the brother could get his case overturned due to conflict of interest by his attorney. And then if it starts all over from scratch, then he's got a clean slate to negotiate, have an effective attorney negotiate a deal for him. And I think he probably would get a sweetheart deal to flip on his sister.
And
right. Can I ask a follow-up on that one, DJ?
Please
so
do.
You think
you're all over this case?
Yes, I'm interested in the Adelson. So do you think that the mother and brother were doing this to help her out, or do you think she was manipulating them? Like, because she's almost made to seem like, oh, she had no idea that her
Mm.
mother and brother did this. But then you drove right by his house after, he was shot. So it's kind of like to go to the liquor store that you had to go through that neighborhood. So a lot of it is like she was manipulating them, or do you think it's the other way around?
No, I think it's, think about it this way. We have the mother and the brother convicted of murdering her ex, the father of her 2 boys. What did she tell them to motivate them to do that? And how much would you be having to pump them with information to get them to want to do that for you, right?
Right.
So that's, to me, it's like it all starts with her. It starts with her. She basically set him up to do her dirty work, and so I think it's very, very strong circumstantial case against her, and so it's just some folks, I guess, are afraid to take on more of circumstantial cases, but circumstantial cases can be much stronger than direct evidence cases, because you have, especially when you have a lot of indicators, and here there's like, easily 150 indicators of involvement that I've talked about. So, but like I say, I think
after her though. So why wait for her and the dad? And I think the dad was more involved than they've let on. But why wait to get her towards the end of them? Like, why wasn't she the first one? She was that wife.
Well, keep in mind, we're dealing with humans, and we're dealing with personality differences. We're dealing with experience differences. We're dealing with competence differences. And so people can look at evidence differently and not come to the same conclusion. And I mean, that's happened in my case. People say, hey, you're not going to win this case. And I turn around and say, well, I think I can. It turns out that I did win the case, so or people say, hey, I think you're going to lose this case. And, on other ones I'm thinking of. And it's like, no, it's like, I think that the lack of intestinal fortitude and courage, a lot of different personality character traits come to light on how you can get proper justice on a case. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't get justice in their victims in America because you have prosecutors that are weak. They don't want to take on and do the tough work. And so it's like, and then what I've said on my channel is like, I've seen cases full spectrum where you have ones that are fire-breathing Nazi dragons on one hand, and then you have ones that are just so weak and pathetic on the other. And you don't, depending on where you live, you may have, and anywhere in between, you may have, justice happen for you, or you may feel like your case is being stymied and railroaded by folks that don't have justice in their agenda.
Gotcha.
This question right here, constant complaining about Dan causing her grief, I'm sure motivated them. I want to say this part. This is the reason why I didn't take a particular interest in this case. And it's so bizarre that every day all over America, you have couples that have gotten divorced that can figure it out, that you can work and you can make these drives for one parent to see the other. It happens in every single state in America every day. What kind of a bizarre person, when you have a great life, if you're Donna Adelson, do you want to go and say, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll go hire a hitman to kill the father of your children? That seems like a reasonable response to parents that are co-parenting at some sort of a distance. It's so stupid and bizarre that I couldn't even get interested in this case, because it's just so ridiculous that this woman ruined her life and her family's life over something that every single day, every jurisdiction in America, literally every county deals with this. There isn't a county in the United States anywhere that isn't dealing with this kind of a case where parents have to say, well, we decided to get divorced. Now we're going to have to co-parent, and you can't move across country, etc. So your commentary regarding this one right here, Carl.
No, it's again, I think of the poor kids, the poor kids that are suffering because people can't act civil as adults and act in the best interest of the children. And so, what's so shocking is that this family had they showed it in court. They had like $11 million at the time the murder happened collectively. And so they could have bought a condo. The parents didn't, Wendy's parents could have bought a condo and just, the weeks she has custody, just fly up there every other month or every other week or something and just go see the kids and just accept the fact that they're going to be in Tallahassee until they each of them turn 18. And then, but people wanting to control outcomes. And I think one of the things that I've seen over and over again that consistently is out there, but it's not a legal defense that I've ever seen used for the most part. Is these people on psych meds can make them do really crazy, whacked out stuff of violence. And so one of the things we heard about a lot in the Adelson case is that, Charlie's using Xanax and popping Xanax pills all the time. That's a benzodiazepine, and that can do a lot of brain damage. It can cause frontal lobe shrinkage. And so, but people don't want to talk about that and really get down to the nitty gritty of how does this change people's personalities? And we have Wendy was on it as well, the Xanax. And so then look at this case out in Utah with Kouri Richins. We had Seroquel, which is an antipsychotic that was found in the blood of her deceased husband. So, that was supposedly Kouri's prescription drug that was in him. So I think there's unbelievable amount of violence that's connected to psych meds, and especially school shootings. You look at every single school shooting, the common theme is they were on psych meds.
That case in Georgia, we haven't even talked about that, where the father's on trial for the murder of those children and that teacher, I think, at the school in Georgia. And the kids are already incarcerated, but now the father's on trial for it. But the thing is this is my thing that I want to ask you, Carl. This didn't happen on one day. This isn't a decision that was made on one day in one moment and that couldn't have been stopped. Oh, the Georgia father was convicted. Thank you, D. Mart. That's what I thought was going to happen. And that case, I mean, he's buying that kid another rifle after all the statements he made. He's buying him an AR-15 for his birthday, and nothing was locked up. Anyway, but the question, Carl, is it wasn't a decision that happened on one day and one moment, because there was weeks and leading and planning, and there probably could have been a phone call made right up until the murder was going to happen. Hey, we'll pay you guys, but just back off. And they would have easily and quickly drove away. But how do you come to a rational decision of, I'm going to get a hitman? Like, how is that rational unless you're literally the decision maker, whomever that was, assuming it was Donna, is on psychotropic medications of some sort from the day she decided it until the day of Mr. Markel's death?
Yeah, I mean, it's also part of the thing that, the dentist's brother, Charlie, he was also into supposedly selling steroids and stuff like that. So if he's on steroids, getting roid rage probably, and he's also pumped up with psych meds like Xanax on a regular basis. So that's a deadly combination. Plus he's probably drinking hard liquor on top of it. So you have no semblance of your normal personality once you start doing all that kind of stuff, from my perspective. And
they weren't very smart because the hitmen were his girlfriend's
friends.
No, right? her baby daddy.
Oh, there's a direct connection. Oh, great.
So
yeah.
He was dating a girl who had a baby with the hitman.
With the hitman. Great. Yeah. So direct familial, almost connect. That's yeah. Yeah. So, it doesn't make sense that's hey, I know what we'll do. We'll have this law professor killed. I mean, that seems like that's why I couldn't even watch this thing. I just thought it was just the stupidest. This woman, like you said, I didn't even know the $11 million. I knew they had a dental practice. ruined the lives of the entire family because you can't fucking drive up there and visit the kid. Like, is that what just happened now? I mean, like, my mind can't go there. I don't know how to get there. There's no road from A to B. You need to take a helicopter, and that helicopter, I guess, is fueled by some sort of medications. It's bizarre. Latin Kings is what Making Changes is saying. Anyway, I need a swear jar. There's certain things like Judge Bev that just drive me nuts. It just comes out of me. I can't.
Yeah. So the Latin Kings reference is the baby daddy was part of a gang, and then there was 2 of them. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's originally a Chicago gang. Are you tracking Mickey Steins at all, Carl? The Kentucky sheriff that shot the judge in Chambers?
No. I just know like the headlines of it, and I don't. There's something I heard about that had to do with there's some kind of molestation ring or something going on. His daughter was trying to get sucked. I don't know if there's any truth to that, but supposedly that's why he went and killed the judge.
Yeah, I mean, I heard that. I know the daughter made a TikTok or a Facebook Live to talk about that she really wanted to stop, people asking her about it. I'm not sure, but I think she's denied that she's involved in this in any way.
Okay.
But supposedly that was the first allegation that came out, is that he picked up the judge's phone and either saw his daughter's number or his daughter's photo on the judge's phone. Unfortunately, the Judge Kevin Mullins, despite what he might have done, he didn't deserve to be shot in Chambers, at least that we know of. But the question...
Can I ask Carl a couple of cases? Have you been following Aaron Spencer?
Just a little bit, yes. I've not. I want to follow that one closer. Do not know if that's going to be covered on TV at all, but I hope it is.
Yeah. So he just... so Aaron Spencer just was...
elected?
Sheriff? No. He's running for sheriff. He was just in the midway elections. He was
primary or
primary,
some sort,
the primary.
That's amazing.
And then curious if you know anything about the Kelsey Fitz Simmons here in Mass. That one is going to be a great one. The trial starts March 23rd. It will be televised. And again, corruption.
Really?
It's going to be very interesting. There's a lot that has come out. There's a lot that happened. Definitely one that is going to be a good one.
Yeah, and check back in the cab archives on that. We did a little research on the North Andover PD and came up with some interesting things, but it appears there is some sort of collusion between Justin, the firefighter, baby daddy, or fiance, ex-fiance, I guess I should say, and the police department, because they're co-located in the same building. And most recently, well, I guess we got to tell Carl the shocker. I want you to, I know you're sitting down for this, but if there are armrests on your seat, I want you to grip the armrests and hold on to them. Okay? Because this is what, we could even play the video. We could literally even play the video that we played the other day. But Brother Counsel, one of your colleagues, covered this. The prosecutor is saying that Justin called the North Andover PD and they gave him permission. Now, this woman is in the hospital at this point after being shot in the chest. She's a North Andover police officer, shot in the chest in her home by another North Andover police officer who said that she pointed a gun at him. And she's in the hospital convalescing. She was arraigned in bed in the hospital. And Justin, the boyfriend, asked the PD if he can go and enter the home. And they gave him permission to B&E into her home, of which he does not own. And he did not even claim to be a resident of the home. And he stole, what did he steal, Bia? Go ahead. Laptop,
cash, gift cards, and a note that he had written her, which was saying that she was a great mother. But I feel like Carl is missing the pre stuff to her getting shot, but to fully understand what happened.
But well, yeah, I mean, it goes into that basically they, this is another Massachusetts thing. this guy went to a court, had an ex parte hearing in which they awarded him immediate custody of the child. They didn't bring any sort of DCS folks there. They went there with the police, took the baby from her and gave it to him. With that, she was never heard in court over that. He just made an allegation. They believed him and said, yeah, you can go get the baby. Then her own police department comes and takes the baby from her and gives it to him.
And then shoots her.
And then shoots her.
She spent 53 days in ICU recovering.
Yes, and then they supposedly the prosecutor says we're not going to charge him with anything because he called the police department and they gave him permission to enter the home. And then he's on video breaking in the home with his firefighter, allegedly, probably with his firefighter buddies because they're all in civilian clothes.
One was his brother. Two were other firefighters.
One was his brother. And two were other fire. Thank you, Bia. I didn't even know that. So Boston Bia, breaking news right here on Cab. Can you imagine that, Carl? That you could just Bia could just go to the place and go, you know, I left my stuff at Carl's. Is it okay if I break in and go get it?
Yeah,
that happened.
That's wow.
And and you don't even know. Oh my gosh, Carl, that one's so good because then the judge. Okay, so. You don't even know what happened. Like, wait, there's just so much. Oh my gosh.
The judge going to the parole.
Yes, but okay. So the poor woman is after she was out of the hospital, she goes in front of the judge because it was her bail hearing. The judge said, we need you to blow into a scram device. Now she had been shot. Everything's a mess.
She can't.
So they make her, it's a breathalyzer type scram device that she has to hold the breath for a very long time. It was causing her pain. So after a couple of days of trying it, Bradel files an emergency motion to see about making other accommodations because there is blood work that they can do for this to check her alcohol. But nothing that happened the day that this took place had anything to do with alcohol. She was breastfeeding her baby when the cops showed up at her door. That triggered the sequence of events. So she's now in front of the judge. She wasn't there for breaking her parole or doing anything. She was still in a couple of days. She realized I can't breathe into this. It was taking her an hour to finish.
They revoked her bail.
They revoked her bail without being heard and put her in jail for 180 days.
Where's this at?
In Massachusetts.
Yeah, in Massachusetts.
In Essex.
Okay, so let me just tell you. So your colleague, brother counsel, asked this question to Alan Jackson. He laid the facts out in an interview. He interviewed Alan Jackson on his show. Alan Jackson couldn't believe it. He's like, what? Like, I can't believe that happened. And this is before we saw the B&E video. That's only like a week or two old that we actually watched the video where he breaks in the house. Even my colleague, Boston Bia, didn't know it was the second time he broke in because the first time he used his key. So his dad, Kelsey's dad came, changed the locks, updated the security, and then he just busted the door down. And somehow that seemed like that was legal.
And they're not going to charge him.
Yeah, and the prosecutor said, no, we're good.
Well, that seems to be the part for the course there for Massachusetts, right?
Totally.
And do they make that kind of money in Essex, the law enforcement, like they do in Norfolk County?
Oh my God,
300,000 plus.
I could not believe the salaries. I was like, I'm in the wrong line of work. If you can be like a patrol officer making $300,000 a year, I don't know. I'd have to ask if somebody knows their salaries. I'm going to guess it's not as much as Canton or MSP, but who knows?
I don't know. North Andover is a very nice town.
Ritzy area. Yeah. It's crazy. And Bia, you think maybe there's a connection between the judge and the officer that shot because they're both
Well,
her main
that's
name's
what
McCarthy.
Bradel alleges in the documents we read. Remember that if Noonan and her have some kind of connection, and then the judge also. So here's the thing: the judge did the day before she revoked the bail, even though they weren't there for bail revocation. She shows up at the
parole officer. She spoke with the
yeah,
and she didn't report that she
ex parte.
Yeah, ex parte. The Bradel was not aware. He went and spoke with the parole officer and was angry at them that they reported it because she was going to try to massage them. It's like, so he said, wait, are you acting like a detective now? You're over talking. What are you doing going over at the parole office?
And the day that they revoked her bail, the parole officer also testified, letting him know that she wasn't in violation, but that he was aware that it was causing her a lot of strain to get this test completed. It was taking her hours to complete the test because they were random throughout the day. And so he was on her side. And then the day before, the judge had gone to visit him at his office and was asking questions. And then she also filed a complaint against him after this all happened. So yeah, it's and now the judge Tim Bradel filed to have her removed. And then one of the judges over her, I think it was Supreme Court Justice, took her off the case. So now there's a new judge that's going to be.
Well, didn't she say,
it's
didn't
moot.
she say, I have other things to do?
Like
she did
I have other cases,
Yeah,
so I'm busy.
This is another one.
It's a really good one. Kelsey Fitz Simmons, because you won't believe all the shenanigans. Again, another, and the other thing is this is another woman with a great career. And now loses everything because she sold her home to pay for her defense. What does that remind? Just like Karen Reed. I mean, if you could put them next to each other, I mean, Kelsey's a lot younger, but again, two pretty white successful females now losing everything. And Kelsey almost didn't make it. Like I said, she was in ICU for 53 days after being shot by her partner.
We think there could be a lawsuit because the sitting chief had 2 lawsuits against him, and I'm gonna flub the name of the woman who sued him, and I think she won. But 2 suits for discrimination or harassment or something like that, and he's still sitting there. He's still there. It's like Carl's like, this can't be happening in one state. There's no way.
I know.
Well, you're covering it up there, Bia. You better watch your back. If you're living in that location, they can reach out and do something to retaliate. I just don't trust people like that.
Yeah. It's
Yes, Donnie, not Wahlberg. Second time.
Yes.
The first time Justin broke in, I don't know if that's on camera or if there was. Obviously, it's not. I think he just used his key to get in that time. So the father came and changed the locks. And then he came back and went in a second time and stole more things. He stole her laptop, took it, accessed her accounts, and then brought it back and returned it to the house, if you can believe that. Yeah. And they say that's not a crime.
This sounds like fiction.
It does. And Brother Counsel, basically, he allowed us to play some of his content last week. It basically was the clip of the prosecutor explaining to the judge why they weren't going to press charges on Justin. I'm like, you do realize that we all are seeing how corrupt you are right now. You do realize that we're metabolizing this and we can see what's going on. It's just absurd.
They don't care.
Why don't you talk about Judge Bev for a couple minutes? First of all, are you aware of the Nagels supposedly renting her cottage, them writing a thank you note to Frank and Beverly, and then her saying that wasn't me because there's an extra E in Beverly?
Yeah, the Venmo transaction, the chalk that Liza Little held up.
Thank you, Bia.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that answer of the extra E, but I've heard of that, and it sounds like that would be a way to have conflict on the case, you need to recuse yourself. So Nagel's a party and a suspect, so you should not be involved in that case if that's the case. But if the anyway, it's just I would say that is there anything that's going to come in light of that in any litigation or anything?
So we've had friends of ours asking us. I really need to put this to Nick Rocco and Alan Jackson, and the only reason I didn't ask him, he was on with us a couple of weeks ago, but the reason we didn't ask him is because we had a bunch of people on the panel that wanted to talk to him. And this is a question I want to ask, but I didn't want to steal time not knowing how long he was going to stay. I wanted everyone to get to at least speak with him. So I'm probably going to have to funnel this question to Nick Rocco and see if there's action. But in your mind, with what you know of the law, how do you approach a judge post-trial that has behaved in the manner in which you've seen?
Well, that's if Karen would have been convicted, then that was an issue on appeal that the judge was conflicted, and then show all the rulings that are extremely biased against Karen and against the Constitution. But the fact that she got acquitted now, and the judges always have this immunity, from any kind of lawsuit, so you can't really bring a lawsuit against the judge. So, the only other recourse you have is going through the judicial code and reporting a judge like that. But I think that if you're in that kind of state that everything's a good old boy type system, and they're going to look out and protect those that they're in their inner circle, then you really have no recourse.
And they have to wait because now she has civil matters. She's involved in 3. I'd like anybody to answer if you're in the chat. We know that we have Karen's civil rights case, which is going to be in federal court. We know that we have the wrongful death suit. Do we also, has that case of defamation been filed, or is that a threat at this point? And let me know that in the chat. And somebody, Clayton John, is saying ethics review. I think the reason they wouldn't file that is because Alan Jackson is going to be arguing, and Karen Reed is going to be arguing in front of their judicial, their judges. And I don't think they want to piss them off because they know how that those judges would maybe, in your mind, Carl, would they be more interested to see justice for Karen Reed or to protect Bev Canoni?
Well, I think that, like I say, that's a separate track. That's not something that's going to be brought up in any of their litigation. So I just think they're just going to ignore that for now. Like I say, it has to do with qualifications of the judge. But, if it's all a closed society up there and everybody's insulated and protected who's a part of the system, then it doesn't matter what you do. You're not going to get justice in that situation. That's why I say jurors are the ultimate equalizer to all that political corruption. That's the only way you can get it. If you can get a case in front of a jury and explain what happened, you can have to do that. If a judge is siding with the other opposing counsel and party, the best you got is to get it in front of a jury. And so I think that in this particular case, and if you can't get it in front of a jury, if charges get dismissed, something like that, then where's Karen go? If any of her pleadings are dismissed in the system down the line, then she's got nothing. She's got nothing to bring in front of a jury with. But I think it's great that they're pursuing civil actions against the wrongdoers, and because not a lot of attorneys would want to get involved in something like that, especially ones that are practicing up there. You're betraying the community, the legal community,
Thank you very much for the 20. That's very nice of you, Donnie, not Wahlberg. We greatly appreciate that. Yeah, I think the thing that have struck me, and I think this might resonate with you as we close out here, we only have 4 minutes left, is from the military community, is that we seek to rid ourselves of people that bring down our thing, whether it's the United States Army and our code, or the United States Air Force and our code, etc. We see when someone is not following, and they are making a mockery of our thing, what it means to be a soldier or an airman, we say we want that person out. The thing in Massachusetts is they say, no, we want to cover it up and we want to keep that person in and protect him. Does that strike you as completely different than what you've grown up with in the Army?
No, because you'd be surprised how much there's that kind of circle the wagons in the military as well. Mm-hmm.
Man, I haven't seen it. I've seen in my career, I was part of AFSOC. If somebody didn't meet standard, we want to get him the hell out of there, because we'd say, you don't deserve to be one of us.
Yeah, no, it all depends on what the culture is. You can have different cultures in every branch of the military, right? Air Force is different than Army. That's true. your same job skill set transferred in the Navy or Army, you could have a completely different culture. You could have a culture of corruption in one and not in the other. The JAG corps in each of them can have a totally different culture as well. So, and even particular units may have a different culture. So everywhere you go, you have different cultures and different ideals and values. And so the leader of the organization is what really sets the tone. So if you have leaders that are disengaged and they let the underling very senior level people be corrupt in how they run business, then you're going to have a corrupt organization. So, but ultimately the leaders at the top, and a lot of them don't know what's going on underneath them. And so anyway, that's my experience. So no, it's not, it's worse I would say, from what I've seen in Massachusetts, but no, it's still out there.
Yeah.
And I see it as a JAG because it would come across my desk.
To be fair, I have seen mistakes be covered up by certain people in certain positions. Mm-hmm. I've seen that even in my own community, and I definitely am not going to name anything, any situation, or anyone. I have seen mistakes covered up when they felt like someone was important enough. I haven't seen criminality covered up. As an example, I just want to point this out to you. Everyone in the chat has heard this, and B has heard this. You may not be aware of this. There was a Canton police officer in years past during Sergeant Peter Murphy's time. He was breaking in to a catering facility and stealing things like steak tips, lobster. So you can't believe this, right? The owner of the facility, he had broken in enough times. She installed cameras. He didn't see them, and she caught him on camera. She reported him to Canton PD. He was not fired.
Yeah.
B&E and robbery, B&E and robbery on multiple occasions, and he was not fired. What does
there
that
you go.
tell you?
That shows how bad the system can be, right? So, what do you think that it's a culture of corruption? I would say it's not a one-off, right? It's pervasive throughout that organization. So that's why he can get away with it.
Yeah. It's like the Farwell guy that killed Sandra Birchamore, town cop. You would think the Mass State Police would have investigated it and said, no, this doesn't look like a suicide. And instead they probably massaged the medical examiner, and she said, oh no, it was a suicide. Then 2 independent forensic pathologists said, no, clearly the hyoid bone is broken and this person was strangled. And that officer right now is in the federal prison system awaiting trial. But the Mass State Police said, I mean, they did his interview. He's on camera. The last person, they did his interview in a school parking lot. If you can imagine that. No interrogation room, nothing like that. It just, okay. I gotta go back to yoga. Carl, someone's asking me as the last one, the Faust case in Georgia, the Lugal's iodine DNA testing and the continuation of the Coleman-Baker Act is problematic. Are you familiar with this case at all? Because I'm not either. I'm sorry about that, Becky. Carl's not familiar, neither am I, but I'm interested to check it out. Bea, closing comments for our wonderful guest, Mr. Steinbeck.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. It was a nice talking to you and picking your brain about all the information that's going on in these cases. And thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Bea. Good to be with y'all.
Yes, sir. It was an honor to spend an hour and a half with you. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope that you'll come on again and break it down. Our audience loved you, and we have another one. Thank you so much, Patrid. That's very kind of you, and we hope to have you on again. Okay.
Okay. Thanks, GJ.
Thank you very much, sir. All right. Good night. Yeah.
All right. Good night.
Carl Steinbeck, ladies and gentlemen.
Come back.
We'll see you again.
Take care.
All right. That
adios.
is the great attorney, retired JAG officer, Carl Steinbeck. And yeah, I mean, what do you think, Bia? I mean, it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's great, right?
Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah, it was nice to pick his brain and kind of get his thoughts on all these different cases, but more importantly, the Kouri Richins case. Yeah. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, chat. Thank you for all your donations. And yes, and you just got another one.
Thank you, not Donnie Wahlberg. I appreciate it. You guys are so awesome. Oh, wow. We got another one. Yeah. Oh, my God. Look at this. This is your homegirl right here.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was texting her this afternoon.
There she is.
Yep. This one's for you, Jimmy.
I don't know how to do the heart thing.
You have to, your hands got to be more like out.
Oh.
No.
What am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
Am I doing it wrong?
You are. You can do it that. No, you have to use all your fingers, dude. You got to just go out more. Yes. It's kind of like a fat heart.
Yeah, I don't know why it worked last time. I gotta work on it. I gotta work on my heart emoji thing.
We need some behind the scenes heart.
I do. I need some training. Practice. If anybody could do some emoji training, heart emoji. Thank you so much. What a great night. The mods kicked ass again. You guys are amazing.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, Patrid. Yes, I need to be able to do that. Okay, I got to work on it. Almost.
Yeah, he needs to practice in the mirror.
I do. Yes. I need. Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, there's your amiga, Pauline Trish.
Oh, hey, girl.
And she was telling me that flipping house. She was saying in the chat earlier. I don't know if you saw this. DJ's Heart Cube. It's terrible. She was saying earlier that flipping houses is a lot of work.
It is.
She must have done some of that.
You have to, you need a GC, a general contractor. It's like when you get anything done, you renew a bathroom, it's a pain in the neck. When you're flipping houses, you have all these different contractors that are doing permits. A piece of, it's a lot. It's a lot.
So do you want to talk about the financial episode now that we're here? Because what are you thinking on that one?
Yeah, so I will, I have a construction loan. Yes, I used to underwrite those. I know. I used to underwrite. Well, no. I have one person lined. I have a couple people lined up. So we'll get to talking behind the scenes. We'll announce something. Yes, we need another financial episode.
Oh, Becky says it's fun work. So Becky's doing it. She's making some damn money. There you go.
There you go.
I like this one.
If you have, that's the thing. If your family has a construction business, that would be flipping houses is great. But there's also a lot that goes into this. It's not cheap. You have to invest money to make money.
Wait, we got to just mention this real quick. Granny Debbie was in Egypt. Wow. Welcome back. And we want to tell us if you went to the Valley of Kings in Giza, and we want to know your hypothesis on how they were built. So let us know about your trip to Egypt. That is super interesting. We are fascinated with Egypt here. I want you, if you guys are interested in anything with the pyramids, go watch, follow Uncharted X on Twitter. Ben Van Kerkwyk, he's an Aussie, and he is phenomenal on all the mysteries in Egypt. He actually takes groups there. You could actually sign up and go to the Valley of the Kings with him. Let's see. Thank you. Yes, thank you so much, Jules. What is Granny Debbie here saying? Beck, thank you as always. Our trip was cut short as we were ordered to come back home. Yeah, it's probably because of all the stuff in the Middle East, the Iran and Israel, and also us, the United States. So yeah, we're involved in some conflict there. And what is it? Yeah, so we can make all the money like Mike.
Money Mike.
Money making Mike Crawford.
Mike Crawford.
There you go. See, that's the proper accent right there. So, but and let's see what is love any. Yeah. So I don't have this handy. You know what, Bia? If you can talk for a second, let me get that link and I can share it for Ben Van Kerkwyk. So just entertain as you do.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Let's see. That was very cool. We have to get Carl into Kelsey Fitz Simmons. I'm glad we gave him a quick overview. I think he would be great to cover.
Oh yeah.
Because again, if he thinks Karen Reed was one of the most interesting cases, then this is a close runner-up. Just when you think this was like one in a lifetime, it is not. But yeah, he's great. Hey, Brandy, good to see you, girl.
Oh, is the amazing Boston Bizzle Brandy in the house? Okay.
She is.
So ancient Egypt. Okay, so I highly recommend this. This is the journalist Ross Coulthard on News Nation with Ben Van Kerkwyk. I'm going to tell you the stuff that Ben Van Kerkwyk points out in this interview will blow your mind about the construction of these pyramids that cannot make sense. So check that out. It's on YouTube. Ross Coulthard and Uncharted X, and you'll find it. It's fantastic. Check that out, Val. DJ, I've been assigned enough research. Oh my! No, Sarah, you told me you want to know about paranormal, when we're doing paranormal. So I said, okay, we did, I can't remember the name of that. I sent you the last paranormal episode that Cab did. Plus, there's some great stuff on Netflix. 28 Days Haunted is phenomenal. So yeah, So anyway, all right, guys. Final thoughts, Bia? Anything?
No. We're working here too, so we'll see you soon.
Yeah. What do we got coming up next? Do we have anything? Not till we need to get something in there before the 21st, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the 21st, we'll have a show for you. We don't know what we're gonna do this week. We'll figure it out. But on the 21st, we're doing Bigfoot with filmmaker, actor, investigator Stacy Brown Jr. of Florida. Stacy Brown Jr. His channel is called Bigfoot Stacy. He's an amazing guy. He's very country. He looks really cool with a long beard. And we're going to have a couple guests too. I think we're going to have Sibylla Irwin and Jim Myers, two big-time Bigfoot investigators, are going to co-host with us. So, yeah. All right. So, on behalf of Boston Bia, this is DJ saying peace out. One love. And we will see you down the road. Bye, everybody. Thanks. We love you very much, and we appreciate your support.